Hi, how are you? Today's video, I'm going to be talking about litter training and tips and tricks for that. So stay tuned. So today's video is actually a refilm of a previous video. If you've watched that video, thank you. You are the best person on earth because it's just terrible. The sound quality is, and it was very early in my channel's creation, so I did not have a microphone. I didn't have a good place to film. I didn't even film it landscape. I filmed it in portrait mode, which was just not a good plan for YouTube. And I don't know why the sound was so bad on that, if it was just the quality from recording with my phone or what, but it was awful. And so if you watched it at all, thank you from the very bottom of my heart all the way to the tippy top. I appreciate it so much. I've heard from a lot of people that it was really helpful, but that they just really struggled with the sound, and I've heard you, so I'm trying to refilm it for you. I have Fred here with me, and I also have a litter box down here. I did not have a P-Rock handy to show you that because it's dirty, so I'll just film that in the cage so you can see it. But let's get started. There's a couple different kinds of litter boxes. The one that I just cannot ever recommend is the kind that has like a mesh grid on top of where the litter goes. A lot of people really like this because it keeps all the litter inside the box and the rats can't easily pull it out and mess with it and dig in it. There's a couple of problems with this. The first thing is no animal really should be standing on wire. And that's pretty true universally for any creature that's kept in any sort of a cage, or might have to be in one for some reason. Wire is just really not comfortable for their feet. It's not good for them. Dirty wire can cause bumblefoot issues. Note that it's not the wire itself, it's it being dirty. So there's that problem. The other problem is that rats like to feel the litter underneath. This is one of the ways that they distinguish that this is the bathroom, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But having that grid on top really does not help them at all. They can't feel the litter underneath. They don't know it's the restroom, except by smell. So there's that problem. The other problem is that a lot of those litter boxes are much too small for rats, which brings us to another point in a little bit. You've also probably seen those little corner boxes that fit right into the corner of your cage, and they look really great. I'm sorry, I keep looking over here because Sprinkles is over there just like they're playing in the room while I'm filming because they needed some playtime, and he's just staring at me. So cute. You're cute, Sprinkles. The corner litter boxes are often too small. The rats want to be able to put their feet in the litter box. This is something I actually learned back when I had ferrets, and I found it to be true from rats as well, is that if they can't put all their feet in the litter box, they often just won't use it. They look nice. If you can find a corner litter box big enough, maybe like for a rabbit, even then I would hesitate because some of the ones for rabbits are too small too. But if you could find one of those and put that in the cage and it's big enough that the rats can fit all 4 feet in it, go for it. That would be fine. And then there's using other objects as litter boxes. You can use things like a smaller cat litter box or things like that. Some people use dollar store baskets. That's what I was thinking of. And then I like to use these. You've seen this in a previous video. This is it's a little scuzzy on the outside. I obviously didn't scrub that part. The inside's clean. This is a dollar store shoebox. That's what they're often marketed towards, especially at Christmas time. These are what they will market you to fill for Operation Christmas Child, for example. But I have outfitted it with these little hooks so you can actually hook it to the cage. And I have some that have them in all four. This one's missing this corner. So you can hang it to the roof of the cage. And this is really great because even a very large rat, Fred is about the size of one of my bigger rats, can actually fit all the way inside the litter box. Even with litter in it, he would be fine. And he can turn around, he can back into the corner, whatever. So these are great. I have also used meat storage, like, you know, those plastic containers that ground beef sometimes comes in. I've washed those, run them through the dishwasher, and used those before. I found those really handy in my smaller quarantine cages where those didn't quite fit around stuff. So I have 3 or 4 of those as well. You can also use storage bins, like any sort of storage bin. It doesn't have to be the shoebox size, but if it's tall enough for your litter and big enough your rat can fit in it, that'll work too. Okay, so next, the pea stone. I was going to talk about that. So a pea stone is literally a smooth-ish rock about the size of the palm of your hand. And I've also seen people use Yankee candle lids, or, you know, it doesn't have to be that brand, but something smooth, like, and those work because they're thick and they're glass, so then they're smooth. But it needs to be roughly about this big. The reason being, the rats like to stand on it. So if it's much smaller than that, and I have average-ish size hands. I think my ring finger is a size 7, if that helps for perspective. But the rat needs to be able to stand on it, and you can see that that's about the right size. For some unknown reason, rats like to mark smooth objects. It's just how they are. You've probably seen this when they walk over your phone and leave a dribble of pee. Totally normal rat behavior. But what we're doing is using that to our advantage to try to help them understand that the litter box is where that goes. They're still going to mark other parts of the cage, but they will hopefully use the litter box to pee in because it will already smell like them from marking. The next thing I just wanted to share as a tip is that rats are extremely lazy. At least I've found. I do have boys and they tend to be lazier than girls. They're very smart animals, but they are also creatures of habit. So one thing I've noticed is, much like ferrets, the first thing they do when they wake up is go find somewhere to pee. Some rats will pee in their hammocks. And in that instance, what I've done is change the hammock out as soon as I see pee in it or can smell it or feel it. Because that helps them go, oh, this is clean. I'm not supposed to go here. But you can also use this to your advantage as well. By placing the litter box in a place where they can literally just like roll out of the hammock into the litter box. Some good places to put this, got my notebook here, would be like next to a litter box. I actually have one positioned in my cage. I'll put a clip over here. That is like the hammock is here and the litter box is right behind it for this reason. I've often put them at the end of a ladder because I had some rats that wouldn't pee on the same level. They would go down. So if I had a level down and a ladder and then the litter box right underneath it, they would just go right there and pee. That was all the further they would go. Then the next thing to do is to watch when they wake up. And when they wake up, if they start to go in the wrong place, you can pick them up and put them in the litter box. I have had varying levels of success with this, but for some of my rats, it did make a difference and it helped them to go to the right place. So it was definitely worth a try. Your rat may not take to that, but it's worth a try. If that happens consistently, then you need to consider moving your litter box to the place where they're trying to get to, because that's probably where they want to go to the toilet. And having the litter box in that area will help set them up for success as well as not stress you out. You'll want to pick up or sweep or move in some way any poops that you find in the wrong place and put them in the correct place. If you have fleece, this is way easier, and I don't recommend fleece for many reasons, but if you have it, it is easier to do because you can spot it and you can just sweep it with a little tiny hand broom and put it all into the correct litter box, and it's fine. With a substrate, it's a little trickier, but you can still do it. You just have to pay extra attention and spot clean regularly and move those to the right place. So then there's the issue of what kinds of litter can you use in your litter box. There's a couple of options. First of all, safe options are shavings such as aspen, pine, Never, ever, ever cedar. Cedar is not safe really for any animal at all. But kiln-dried pine and aspen are both safe. Then I think there's something else. I can't think. Birch, maybe. It's used more frequently for reptiles, but you can use that if you want to. It's more expensive, but it's an option. Pelleted litters work great in litter boxes. I don't recommend them overall as a substrate because they do tend to get moldy. A lot of people don't like to recommend them because they powder when they get wet, like they turn into a powder. I haven't found them to actually be dusty. They sink to the bottom, but they do get moldy when wet. And unless you're changing your litter boxes really frequently, that's something you definitely don't want to happen, because your rats may do like mine and sleep in the litter box, and you don't want them breathing all those mold spores in. So I would say that don't use them as a substrate, but in the litter box, they're fine in small amounts that are changed frequently. This would be like Yesterday's News, which is a pelleted paper, or what's the other one called? Did I write it down? I didn't, but it's a pelleted pine litter. You can get it at like Tractor Supply. The pet stores have it. I've seen it at Walmart and grocery stores, and I'm feline pine. That's the name of it, feline pine. So there's those options. The next option is not ideal, but shredded paper can work. You will have to change this on a daily basis though, because paper does not have ammonia control. So you can use it, and if it works for your rats, go for it. If you can change it regularly, go for it. But just know that you'll need to be more tedious about cleaning it. And then we've got some unsafe litters. Hello. Do you want to come see? Karen wanted to say hi. So for unsafe litters, we have, don't climb on the microphone, clumping cat litter. That's definitely not a safe thing. The reason being that if your rats do actually eat it, most rats will not eat things that are not food. But if they did, then you are stuck with a rat that could have a serious health issue and need to go to the vet for surgery to remove it, because it tends to dry out everything. That's how it clumps, is it sucks all the moisture out and turns into a blob. You definitely don't want that in your rat's stomach. It's also extremely dusty. If you've ever poured it into anything, you know the cloud of dust that just rises out of it is ridiculous. Similarly, sand is not safe. Similar reasons. Critter litter I have seen back and forth. I really haven't had a chance to investigate it further. I believe it's a clay-based pellet. A lot of people do like it. I personally cannot recommend it just because I haven't had a chance to look into it further. And none of the ratteries that I know of who litter train their rats or pet owners really recommend it for that reason. It's also quite expensive. Some alternative options that I have seen is aquarium gravel. Some people do that because you can wash it and reuse it. You do have a risk of it getting thrown everywhere. It's not really dangerous. It's just messy. There's no absorbency, obviously, with that, because it's literally just rocks that they're peeing on. It's going to be harder to get it all clean because of it being rocks. You can't really scrub it because it's small. So you would have to like soak it and rinse it really well and then let it air dry. Personally, I don't, like I said, it's not unsafe, but I wouldn't recommend it just for the hassle of it. It also doesn't have any way to control ammonia. And then with that, there's also glass stones, like little table scatter stones that you often find at like the dollar store, places like that. Some people use that because it achieves the concept of the pee stone, and it's smooth so the rats will want to pee on it. But you've got the same problem with the aquarium gravel. And then an added problem that I've seen is that the rats like to relocate them to other places in the cage. Just like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this on forums and things where people are like, oh no, my rat has moved all the rocks from their litter box into various parts of the cage and I can't find them. If you use something that isn't fun for them to move, then you don't have that problem. And then the last issue is Carefresh. The rat community needs to get away from Carefresh. It is an awful substrate for rats. It is great for other animals, but for rats, no. It does not absorb ammonia at all. In scientific studies, it was removed from the study within, I want to say it was 3 days. Don't quote me on the number, but it was very quickly into the study because the scientists felt it was too dangerous to keep using it. It's very dusty. And then the further problem, because of it not absorbing ammonia and being dusty and all that, there's another problem on top of that. And that is that, hello, Crackers. Hold on. Crackers wants to say hi. Say hi. Oh, he's Bruxen. Hey, baby. Here, you can get down. He was like, I just wanted to say hi. I didn't really want attention. The third and final issue is that there is lots of cases of it having mites. I don't know why this seems to be such a problem with Carefresh, but every time I see an issue posted with a rat having mites, it's from the Carefresh bedding. There are things you can do to get rid of it. I'm not even going to go into those because Carefresh is crap and you shouldn't waste your money on it. But it's just not worth the use. It's a waste of money. You will get far better results with safe litters that are out there and are made for small animals. Oh, and I just thought of another one that I didn't even make a note of. A lot of them are scented, and that's a problem. Or they have baking soda added, which is also a problem. Someone's getting beat up. So, you know, these are reasons we need to be careful and not use things that are inappropriate. So then the last thing I wanted to say is that Isamu Rats has a fabulous video on lazy litter training, and she has some things that she will disagree with me on with this, and I have things that I disagree with her on with this, like using different substrates in your cage and your litter box to help your rats differentiate the two. She has her own video called Lazy Litter Training that's pretty clever, and she talks about how she uses the same substrate everywhere and makes it super convenient for her rats to go on levels instead of in the base pan, and that helps her a lot. So I'm going to leave a link in the description to that because it does have a lot of interesting tips, and it might work for some of you where other things have not, so worth a try. And then the last thing I just want to say is it's okay if your rats aren't litter trained. Yes, they're smart and they can do that, but it's okay if you just have substrate in the cage and don't have litter boxes. I have one or two who really like having a litter box, so I do have one. But if they pee in another part of the cage, what I do then is I spot clean that area more regularly by just scooping that section and putting fresh bedding down. And that seems to really keep everybody healthy and happy, and it just is not that big of a deal. An extra handful or two of bedding every couple of days isn't going to hurt anything. So, and it's not really that expensive either, since I use the kiln-dried pine right now. So I think that's it. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you dislike it, give it a thumbs down and tell me why in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more of my videos about our rats, our homeschooling, or just the miscellaneous mischief that we get up to. Bye.